What to do if a dog attacks you. Dogs are more than worthy of the title of man's best friend, but many people have also been unfortunate enough to run into some less than friendly pooches. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, over 4.5 million Americans are bitten by dogs every year, with several attacks proving lethal. Of course, prevention is always better than cure, and we strongly encourage avoiding shady dogs to minimize an attack. But what do you do when an attack is inevitable? Can you do anything? Well, stick around and find out. Solution 1. Keep that same energy. Although it may sound a little wonky in theory, animals can pick up and interpret human energy quite easily. You've probably heard that dogs and other predatory animals can smell fear or something to that effect. Now, to be frank, there's no scientific proof that dogs can literally smell fear, unless you pee yourself, or worse. However, it cannot be debated that a dog can easily spot if its potential victim is spooked. That's right, dogs can see fear, and that is bad news for you. Showing fear only serves to encourage the dog to continue being aggressive or even up the ante and go for a bite. Therefore, you want to do the opposite and show zero signs of being intimidated. Of course, a raging Rottweiler is more than enough to drive your heart rate into triple digits. Just don't let the Rottweiler know that. The first part of good energy involves your posture. Much like humans, dogs can tell a lot about you by your posture. They can tell when someone lacks confidence or even when someone is trying to overcompensate. Because most dog attacks are a result of tension, from fear, territorialism, trauma, etc., a calm and decisive posture should always be your go-to. This involves standing upright without slouching and facing the dog at an angle. Standing at an angle, like with boxers or MMA fighters, makes you a narrower target than if you were to stand squarely. We also cannot emphasize the stand part enough. Unless you have a car, house, or point of elevation you can dash to, do not run. Running immediately casts you as a prey item, and the dog's predatory instincts to chase and maul you will kick in. Standing your ground calmly might give a dog something to think about. He or she could end up hesitating to attack such a confident creature. Calmness also helps communicate that you are not a threat, which diffuses many fearful dogs. Remember, some dogs will mock charge to test your resolve. Keep that same energy and do not run. That said, some dogs will charge for real despite your nerves of steel. For such situations, you definitely want to read ahead. Solution 2. Mad dash. Now, despite the aforementioned warnings, we understand that most people will run when they encounter an aggressive dog. It's a natural self-preservation urge after all, despite its futility in most cases. That said, if you are going to run, we recommend that you run smart. This mostly involves running towards some sort of barrier or refuge. Buildings and cars are the most common places for escape. You can also reach elevated points beyond the dog's reach. Ledges, fences, trees, and the tops of cars and tables are just a few examples. In a desperate situation, you could even jump into a nearby body of water. A pool, a lake, or the sea can serve as effective barriers from a raging dog. At the very least, they can slow the dog down if he dives in after you. Florida residents should be very careful with this escape plan, though. A dog attack is always a better proposition than an encounter with an alligator. Running towards the dog's owner and having them shield you from the attack may also be an option. This is usually a very effective psychological barrier unless the dog is outright bonkers or if the owner has poor command over the animal. Seeing the owner protect you should diffuse the dog. Solution 3. Calm retreat. If Solution 1 proves to be effective at deterring an outright lunge, and you have no refuge for Solution 2, the next step is to give the animal space. While still facing the dog, calmly present your hands, which should be empty, in front of you. This lets the dog know that you aren't harboring some weapon or a rock. Next, begin to back away very slowly. Note, do not turn your back on the dog, as this could be akin to running away. You should avert your gaze from the dog's face and minimize eye contact with it. Eye contact can be taken as a challenge for dominance, which is problematic if the aggression is territorial. Keep backing away until you reach a safe barrier or until you are far enough for the dog to lose interest. Solution 4. Protect yourself. Some dogs, especially if they are trained for protection work, will not fall for the calm demeanor trick. so if escape is not possible, you will have to brace yourself for an attack. If you're about to be bitten, the first thing you must do is protect your vital areas. This includes your face, your stomach, your crotch, and any other vulnerable areas. If the dog lunges at you, cover these areas with your arms. It's better to get bitten on the forearm than the stomach. Cross your arms and be ready to adjust because dogs are very fast. If you fall to the ground, curl up in the fetal position and cover your face and neck with your arms. Tuck your legs tightly towards your chest to cover your midsection. Hopefully, the dog will deliver non-lethal bites and lose interest. Additionally, you must keep your hands balled up in a fist to protect your fingers and open palms. A large dog can easily hurt your hand or bite off your fingers. Never use open hands when defending yourself. If you have a backpack or a jacket and quick reaction speed, you could use it to cover your forearm and lead the dog into biting that instead. This would greatly reduce the dog's bite damage and maybe buy you enough time to get help. Solution 5. Fight back. Many great generals and coaches will tell you that a strong offense is the best defense. This sentiment can also prove true when you're faced with a vicious canine. There are various weapons and techniques you can employ to turn the tables in your favor. The first, and arguably most common weapon, is rocks. Most dogs recognize that a human picking up a rock aggressively is not good for them. In many cases, the simple motion of picking up an object from the ground, even if you're just bluffing, is enough to deter lunges or even attacks altogether. Of course, some dogs are bolder, or dumber, so you might have to throw a shot or two. Just don't miss. Sticks are another weapon you can use. A properly sized stick, cane, or staff can be more effective than rocks because you don't have to throw it and risk missing. All you have to do is hold the stick like you would a broom and flick it towards the animal's face. Don't swing wildly like you would a baseball bat, because if you were to miss, the dog would have a big target to aim for. Short but firm flicks eliminate this problem and make the dog reconsider. You can also jab the dog with your stick to show him you mean business. Aim for the face, keep those jaws occupied. If you're lucky enough to be carrying a firearm, you must unholster it quickly. Some dogs immediately recognize what a gun is and get the heck out of there. Otherwise, a warning shot in the air should do the trick if the dog hasn't lunged yet. If you're completely unarmed, you can turn to some martial arts techniques. The first move is the parry. This involves diverting the dog while it's in motion. All you have to do is take the stance from the first position and wait for the dog to lunge. Just before the dog gets close to you, shift your body to the left or the right and use one of your fists, remember no open hands, to push the dog past you. This is essentially just using the dog's momentum against it. If you can, you should also add more force to your parries so you can land some punches on the dog. Parrying will only buy you time, however, because dogs can be relentless once in attack mode. The next move is the push kick. This is when you use the bottom of your foot to kick and push the dog. A push kick is done by tucking your leg up towards your chest and quickly extending it forwards. Most dogs leap from their hind legs when lunging for a bite, which exposes their general chest area. Aim your kicks at the dog's chest every time he wants to come at you. Note that bigger dogs will require more force, so give it all you've got. Again, don't swing kick wildly because if you miss… Solution 6. Topple the alpha. Not all dog attacks involve 1v1 situations. Sometimes dogs attack in packs, which is even more daunting. However, you might not need to fight every single dog. The best way out of this is to back up against a wall or fence to prevent the pack from surrounding you. The next step is to identify the alpha of the pack. Remember, dogs have hierarchies when they are in groups. The alpha is usually the biggest, meanest member. That's the dog you attack. Using your sticks, rocks, guns, or Muay Thai skills effectively on the big dog will spark confusion and fear among the ranks. If the alpha runs away, his pack won't want to stick around and fight his conqueror.